morning. I hope you're doing well. As I invite you to find a space where you're going to be able to move. Hopefully you're in your movement clothes. And if you have a yoga mat, that's even better, but you'll be able to make it work either way. With everything going on right now, I think it's more important than ever that we really find time to nourish ourselves. For some of you, what you're learning may be reminders. You might get some new tips that you can incorporate, or there might be some new practices, some new tools that you can incorporate into your life. All of those things are great. Our goal through this is to really just help you find ways to nourish yourself. During our first week, we discussed tips and tricks for the fall, things to help you stay grounded. Last week, we were joined and did some wonderful awareness and loving kindness meditations. And today we are joined by an incredible woman and yoga teacher, Quiana Grace Frost, who I'm going to share about in just 1 minute. But before I introduce her, just a few housekeeping items. As you know, you can ask questions anytime through the question panel. And if they're pressing questions, I'll be monitoring those, so I'll make sure they get addressed if it's something about a yoga pose or a question. Otherwise, we'll hold questions till the end, and I will jump back on and we'll leave a few minutes to just talk about some few things that maybe came up for you or questions that came up during our time together. As I said before, I invite you to silence your cell phones and give yourself the gift of being really fully present for this time together. And as has been our intention for the whole series, it's to give you some education. And of course, we do that a little bit via our virtual platform, but also to help you disconnect from the passive intake from the screens and really be present and get into your body and connect a little bit deeper. Today, we're joined by Quiana Grace Frost, who's been teaching yoga and has served as a body worker for over 39 years, helping students and clients to honor their bodies and to awaken both inner vitality and peace. She integrates asana, breath work, and deep relaxation as she guides her students through gentle movement with compassion and grace. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that she's really a phenomenal teacher. Quiana holds an RWT 500 and a Yoga Alliance certification, which in the yoga world are just really important credentials to have, and teaches for the Ayurvedic Yoga Teacher Training Program in Northern California. In her work as an energy medicine practitioner and professional coactive life coach, she also supports her clients to move beyond limitations they encounter so they can find more ease, clarity, and fulfillment in their life. She is truly a wonderful yoga teacher and brings her own unique style to the practice, which we are now going to get to join together and experience ourselves for the next hour. So without further ado, I will let Quiana jump in. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Quiana.
Thank you. So I'd like to welcome all of you here. My name's Quiana Grace Frost, and I've been doing yoga since I was 17, and I did the math, that was 46 years ago. So when I discovered yoga, I experienced a quality of peace and relaxation and bliss that I went, oh my God, I found home. So I stayed with it. Later in my life, I saw an older woman who must have been in her 70s, and she had a long silver braid down her back, and she walked across the room in front of me with just so much, something going on inside of her. And I went, I want what she's having. And I found out she was a yoga teacher, and I went, okay, sealed. This is the deal. I'm in. So I've been teaching yoga since I was 24, I think. And it brings me great fulfillment. So my invitation for each of you is to just enjoy yourself. The root of the word yoga means to yoke. It means union, and it means union with the true self. So if it doesn't feel good, that's not yoga. So there are many styles of yoga, and the style that I have at this point is very deep. It's slow, it's careful. It's really about just health and well-being and nurturing and culturing a sense of centeredness and well-being. So pretty much anyone can do it. There are a few contraindications to yoga, and there's the list of medical disclaimers, of course, that are just there. But glaucoma, detached retina, and particularly for inversions, Pregnancy is not a medical condition, it's a natural condition. But if you are pregnant, just be careful. That's all. Let's see what else. If there's a tendency to feel lightheaded, if you have something going on with your ears or balance issues, blood pressure or blood sugar issues can affect that. Just be mindful. This will be easy what we're doing here. If you're very experienced with yoga, let this be an invitation to go deeper and to find something more nuanced and subtle. What I love about yoga, there's always some level of attention, no matter what your experience is, that you can bring yourself to a deeper connection to yourself. So let's begin. So find yourself at the top of your mat. If you have a mat, carpets are fine. When I started yoga, there were no yoga mats or Lululemon outfits. There was just your body and whatever surface you were on. So please know that anything is good. Bring your hands in front of your heart. You want your feet hip width apart. I'm sorry, you can either see, you can't see all of me here. I'll stand back. So you want your feet hip width apart. Some practices have your feet together, but I think that makes balance more challenging. So just ground through the soles of your feet. Imagine as if you're sending roots through the soles of your feet. Rest your hands gently in prayer in front of your heart. Dropping your tailbone. Feel lifted through the crown of your head and rooted through the soles of your feet. Closing your eyes gently, becoming aware of your breath. And notice as you bring your attention to your breath, that it changes your breath. And take a moment to set your intention for your practice. Quality or qualities within that you'd like to nourish or cultivate, or something in the world that you hold a loving concern for. If you can't think of anything, I always just choose world peace because it always works. When you have your intention, take a deep breath, charging it fully. And exhaling it, releasing it into manifestation. And gently opening your hands. Palms are forward. Inhaling up, moving with your breath, allowing your ribs to expand as you inhale. And exhale, draw your hands, pressing your palms together, resting in front of your heart. Each time we come back to this mudra or hand gesture, center in yourself. Just use this as a centering pose. Now deepening your breath even more fully, lifting up, looking up now. Fingertips come together, palms come together. Exhale, press as you draw down through your center line. And last time, deepening it even further. So the longer breath, inhaling up, looking up. This time, arch back just a little bit and exhale, press through your palms as you draw back down and center in front of yourself. Good. We're going to separate your feet, hip width apart, and we're going to begin swaying. So your toes are slightly open. I'll give you a little better toe view here. And your feet are wider than hip width. And you're going to move your one hip forward and then your other hip forward. Have your knees deeply bent now, so you're just warming up your ankles, your knees, and your hips. In yoga, the joints are controlled by the ether element. And when our joints are free and open, our beings, we feel spacious. We feel more at peace. We feel more relaxed. We feel more open. So I do a lot of opening of joints in my yoga practice to just create more freedom, more ease, and more space. Good. And come back into stillness. And now we're going to change the figure eight. Figure eights have two directions. So you're going to lead with your back side and lead with your other back side. Doesn't matter which you start with. And see if you can bend into your knees. and then come back into center. Good. Inhaling up now. Draw your hands down through the center. Press through your hands and bow as you come forward, placing your hands in front of you, under your shoulders. Your spine is straight. Give you a side view so you're flat back. And then you inhale and exhale, come into a forward fold, bringing your hands back by your feet. Place your hands forward just a little bit more. They can reach the floor. Maybe they need to reach your shins. We all have different proportioned bodies. And exhale, forward fold. This time you can clasp behind your calves. Last time, inhale up halfway, flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Clasping behind your calves gently. Drop your hips, bend your knees, press through the sole of your feet. Roll up to rise. At the top, your arms come up. And come back into your heart. So we'll just keep building on each piece so you get really familiar with this. Inhaling up, arms up, lift up. This time we're going to swan dive. Press your hands down, shoulder level, as we reach forward. So you're reaching forward like I think of a hood ornament for a car, but reach long, and then lower your hands down. Inhale up halfway, flat back. Hands are under your shoulders. Exhale, forward fold. This time you're going to step your left foot back and come into a runner's lunge. Your right ankle is under your right knee. Your back leg is straight. So I'll give you a side view. So your right leg is direct, your foot is under your knee, back leg is straight, and you're pressing your back heel as if it could reach towards the baseboard. Lower your back knee, come onto the top of your back foot, draw your hips back and walk your hands back and flex and point, flex and point. So I'm teaching from Northern California. I don't know where you are, but in the morning we're stiffer and later in the day it can be a little warmer. And as your toes are drawn up, you're going to rotate them side to side like a little windshield wiper, side to side, getting deep into your hip rotators. Good. And then roll through the side of your sole of your foot, walking your hands forward, come back into runner's lunge. Lift your heart. So you want your whole front body to be bright and shiny and lifted. Lower your back knee now. Come onto the top of your back foot and rise up. Sweep your left arm up and look up and bring it down, resting it on your knee. Sweep your right arm up, moving with your breath. And bring it to your knee. You can stay here, or if you feel solid, you can bring both arms up, lift up, moving with your breath, look up, and sweep your arms down on either side of your foot. Curl your back toes under, lift up, come back into runner's lunge. Step forward and come into forward fold. Press through the soles of your feet, drop your hips, and roll up through your spine. When you come to the top, your arms float up and bring your hands back into prayer. We're going to do the other side. So I'm going to keep changing directions so that you can see the different views. So you can start with your feet hip width apart. If you feel balanced and your hips allow for it, having your feet together is perfectly fine. If you're working with balance, I recommend just starting with a nice even support under your hips. Good. Inhaling up, lift up. Fingertips greet and kiss. Swan dive, lead with your heart. Long, 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 long. And lower your hands down. This time we're going to go out halfway, flat back. Drawing your tail away from the crown of your head. And exhale, forward fold, release. Bring your hands back by your feet. This time, step your right foot back into runner's lunge. So I'll give you a front view this time. Your ankle is under your knee is over your ankle. Back leg is straight, back heel pressing back, and then just brighten up, lifting up your front body, long through the front of your neck and the back of your neck. Good. Lower your back knee, come onto the top of your back foot, and draw your hips back. Walk your hands back so your front leg can be straight. I'll give you a side view here. Good. Drawing your hips back. You're going to flex and point, flex and point. And for many of us, we're really stiff behind the backs of our legs, so just be kind. And so yoga is really about working at your own level so you can meet yourself in a good way. Drawing your toes up towards the sky, rotate them side to side like a windshield wiper. This gets deep in your hip socket. And come into stillness, roll through the surface of your front foot, walk your hands forward, and come back up to runner's lunge. Lift your heart. Lower your back knee, come onto the top of your back foot, and then rise up. So if you're wobbly here, which is very common, you want to draw your muscles of your pelvis together. Imagine your muscles are giving you a wrap or a little girdle, holding everything stable here. So maybe this is all that you're up for at the moment. Place your left hand on your knee. Sweep your right arm up and look up. Arch back. And bring your hand down. Just remember, this is a mirror image, so sorry. So you're going to sweep your left arm up. I'll change my instructions soon. And then bring them down. Maybe that's enough for you. Or if you're up for it, you can do both. Sweep both arms up, lift up, look up, arch back, and then swan dive, reaching your arms forward on either side of your front foot. Come back into runner's lunge, back leg is straight, heart is lifted, long through the back of your neck. And then step forward, come into a forward fold. This time you're going to hold on to your elbows, so you're going to grab them on either side and just allow your body to hang. Let your legs be strong, let your spine sort of lift and lengthen away from your pelvis, your hips. Water falling forward. Allow your elbows to sway to the right and sway to the left. Come back center. Change the cross of your arms and sway to the right and sway to the left. Come back to center. Release your hands. Inhale up halfway or flat back. So your hands can be on your shins or on the floor in front of you. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, drop your hips, and roll up, stacking your vertebrae one by one. Head comes up last. When you get to the top, lifting your arms, embracing beautiful fresh air. In yoga, we call life force prana, and it's held within our oxygen. So when you breathe it in, you're drawing in life force, getting more vitality and well-being. Good. So let's come down now to our hands and knees, and I'll change the camera here so you can see a little better. So now you're on all fours, and to be on all fours, you want your hips over your hips directly over your knees and your shoulders over your wrists. So you're in a tabletop position. You're going to draw your heels, the heels of your hands towards you, and you're going to inhale up and come into a cow. So think of a cow with little udders hanging here. That's why that's called cow. I invite you to curl your toes under to exaggerate this. So your heels of your hands are drawing back towards you. Your heart is lifted, your tailbone lifted up, and you're going to sink your hips down as you're pulling your heels of your hands towards you. And then inhale, rising up.
Flatten the tops of your feet. Press through your hands, press through your knees, and come into like a Halloween cat. And then sink your hips down towards your heels. Press your hands away from you, creating the opening through your spine. And rise up. As you rise up, start shifting and scooping your spine as you arch and come into cow. So this is a very lovely spinal movement called cat-cow. So now you're in your cow. Draw your hips back, draw the heels of your hands back, keep your heart lifted, keep your head up. And rise forward, flatten the tops of your feet, press into your hands, press your hands away from you as you sink your hips down towards your heels. As you rise up, begin to scoop up into a cow, arching your spine, look up, curl your toes under, and draw your hips back. Pressing the heels of your hands pull towards you, heart is lifted. Last time, shift your weight forward gently. Press through your hands, press your hands away from you as your head is down and your hips sink down. Good. Sweep your fingertips back by your toes, and you're in what's called child's pose. Take a deep breath here, tucking your chin towards your chest, being long through your back body, contracted in your front body. Reach your arms long in front of you, spread your fingertips, and rise up into cow. And come into a flat tabletop here. So correct your alignment so your hands are under your shoulders. Curl your toes under and lift your hips, lift your knees, and come into down dog. And you're going to walk out your dog, pedaling your feet, alternating one foot down and then the other. So for many people, they can't get their heels down, and that's not important. It's just about opening the backs of your legs. Good. Come up on the balls of both feet, bend your knees, press your hands into the mat, and then sink your left heel down. And then switch it out. Rise up on the left ball of your foot as you sink your right heel down. Your gaze is towards your knees. I know you might need to look up and see what I'm doing. Keep the back of your head and neck long. Rise up on the balls of both feet, bend both knees, and then sink both heels down. Lower your knees wide on the mat. So I'll give you another view here. So your knees are wide on the mat, and sink your hips down. And so now you're melting your body between your knees. Arms are long in front of you. This should feel really good. And take a deep breath and a deep sigh. Take another deep breath and a deep sigh. Louder the better. And one more. And shift your weight forward. So from here, we're going to do a really nice pose, and it gets this very hard to reach place right behind our shoulder blades, which is right behind our heart. So for most of us who are still working, we're working on our computer at our desk. Some people are driving a lot, but this sort of modern pose of being hunched over is a way of our modern life. So it's hard to get right behind there. So this is the best thing I found for that. So you're going to place your elbows touching each other, and they're directly under your shoulders at shoulder height. Then you're going to draw your hips back and bring your prayer up towards the sky. You can rest your head in your upper arms. Your elbows are going to want to pull apart, but what you're going to do is keep pressing them together. I'll give you a side view for that. You can stay down if that feels good. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, which can happen, I invite you to just watch here. So my elbows are under my shoulders. My knees are very wide. My palms are together in prayer. I'm shifting my hips back, and as I do, my prayer comes up, and then I'm resting my forehead in the crook of my arms. Elbows stay planted into the earth. Let's take a deep breath here. And when you're ready, shift your weight forward and come out of this pose. Keeping your knees wide, hands are under your shoulders. Separate your toes wide on the mat and press your hips back, knees come off the mat, and come into a wide leg dog. What's beautiful about poses when our head is facing down is the blood rushes to our brain and it quiets our mind. Step your left foot towards the center of the mat, float your right heel up to the sky, look between your hands and step your right foot forward, followed by your left foot, and come into a forward fold. This forward fold, you're going to interlace your fingers behind your skull, along your occipital ridge, so this back of your skull. Just resting gently, no pressure. Just let gravity do the weight, do the work. And sway your elbows to the right. Sway your elbows to the left. And come back center. Release your hands. Rising up halfway just for a moment. Hands can be on the floor or your shins. And melt, exhaling fully. Forward fold. Bend your knees, drop your hips. Root through the soles of your feet to rise as you roll up through your spine. Lifting up. Good. We need to adjust the camera because we're coming back into a standing flow. So what we're going to do is called a flow, or in yoga we call it a vinyasa. And there's different kinds of vinyasa. There are entire practices that are vinyasa flow. I consider anything that's moving deliberately with the breath a vinyasa. So there's a lot of yoga terms. We will skip that and keep it very simple. But what we're doing now is a sequence or a vinyasa flow. Inhaling up, lift up, arms up, arch back. Exhale, draw your hands down through your prayer, blessing yourself. And place your prayer on the earth, bowing forward. Separate your hands on the earth or on your shins and come into a flat back. Draw your belly towards your spine as you exhale, come into a full forward fold. Step your right foot back, long behind you, and your toes are on a diagonal. Press into your front foot as you windmill your right hand back and your left comes forward. We're in Warrior Two, or it's called Virabhadrasana 2. Virabhadrasana means warrior. So your front knee, your left knee is in front of, right over your ankle. Your back leg is behind you, and your toes, let's see if I can get my toes in view here. Usually teach with 2 cameras. So your toes are on an angle. Your pelvis is open, and so imagine that you're pressing as if you could separate your mat or your carpet or the 2 surfaces on the floor that you're stepping on. Wide open. Your arms are at shoulder level. Your gaze, or in yoga we call it drishti, or people say it different ways, but drishti is the Sanskrit. Your gaze is forward. You can bend into your front knee a little bit more. You can spread your legs wide. Your back arm is straight behind you. Good. As you straighten your front leg, you're going to lift your arms and look up. Exhale, press back down. Imagine this is isometric, so you're getting some resistance as you press back down. Inhale up, lift up, look up. Exhale, press it back down. Last time, inhale up, look up. And exhale, press back down. Good. You're going to windmill your right arm forward. On either side of your front foot, pivot on your back toes, and come into runner's lunge. You may need to adjust the length. Lifting your heart, pressing your back heel behind you, and lower your back knee. Come on, bring your other knee to join, and you're going to sink back into extended child's pose with your arms long in front of you. Take a deep breath into your back body. Then exhale and relax. Bring your fingertips back by your toes, bend your elbows, and take a deep breath and a deep sigh. Good. From here, you're going to reach your arms long in front of you. Shift your weight forward, curl your toes under, lift your hips and come into down dog. Lift your left heel up to the sky, look between your hands and step your left foot forward and followed by your right. And come into a forward fold. Interlace your fingers one more time behind your skull at your occipital ridge, letting your spine hang heavy. And sway to the right and sway to the left. And come back center. Release your hands. Inhale up halfway. And exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, press through the soles of your feet to rise, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. When you get to the top, just taking all the time you need, floating your arms up and looking back. And bring your hands back to prayer. So your prayer position, take a moment to just center in yourself, catch up with yourself. Whenever we're learning anything new, or if this is yoga's familiar and you're doing it a different way, it's just a little stressful. Inhale up, lift up, look up. And as you bring your prayer down, bless yourself. Right seeing, your lips, right speech, your heart, right action. Places prayer on the earth as you bow forward, separating your hands on the floor or on your shins. Lengthen out, flat back, draw your belly in, and exhale, forward fold. Step your left foot back now. Toes are on an angle. Press into both feet as you windmill your left hand back and your right arm windmills forward. And so you're in the other side. So this is Warrior 2 or Virabhadrasana 2. My back toes, I know you can't see them here, are on an angle, like facing that way. Okay, good. Your belly is in, your tailbone is dropped, action is through your legs. And so yoga is beautiful. It cultivates relaxation and strength. And so it's the dance between these two forces that keep us in balance. Your gaze comes forward. You take a deep breath. I like to do this where you place your hands on your heart and you just allow your arms to be an expression of your love. Good. Inhale up, straighten your front leg, look up, fingertips greet. Exhale, press, isometric action, strengthening your arms. Good. Inhale up, lift up, look up. Exhale, press through your arms, sinking down. Maybe you sink down any amount more. Maybe you want more length. Maybe you need to drop your tailbone. Maybe your belly wants to come in, lifting your heart, shoulders down. Inhale up, lift up, last time. And exhale, press down. Windmill your left arm forward. Place your hands on either side of your front foot. Pivot on your back toes. Inhale into runner's lunge. Lower your back knee. Bring your right knee to join your back knee. Inhale into cow. Curl your toes under. Exhale, sink back. Draw your heels of your hands towards you. Rise up. Flatten the tops of your feet. Create the Halloween cat. And sink your hips down towards your heels. Release your forehead to the mat and bring your hands back by your toes. Bend your elbows. Let your body be very heavy. Ah, good. Place your hands by your knees and roll up to seated position. Good. So we're going to do a few things on the floor. This is like a little mini yoga class, okay? Just a little bite-sized sample. I'd rather you do 5 minutes of yoga than no yoga. So this is just there's lots of different styles of yoga, lots of ways to do it, lots of different teachers with different attitudes and energy. So find one that fits for you. So you're going to place your knee in your elbow or in your hand, depending on your proportions, and your foot in your elbow or your hand. So whatever that is for you. And you want to see if you can sit up as straight as possible. So we can all do that version, but we're wanting to create height and length through your spine. And we're going to just gently rock. So a lot of people think yoga is like what you see on the front cover of Yoga magazine or something like that, you know, the Gumby version of yoga. And it's really not meant to be that. It's really about a pathway to being centered and to be self-realized. And so the value of yoga really is about cultivating and nourishing a sense of self-connection, self-awareness, and well-being. It's the foundation to the breath work, to the meditation, and to all the beautiful things that come with living a conscious life. Good. And release. We're going to do the other side. So again, reclaim your posture. Maybe you grab the little fleshy bits away from your sits bone so you're able to sit up straight. And then place your other knee in your elbow or your hand. And, you know, if your elbow seems like a fairy tale fiction land, definitely your hand. So, and you're going to just rock side to side. So you're wanting to feel, notice if you notice the difference. One of the beauties of any practice, whatever it is, whether it's running, whether it's tea ceremony, whether it's a breathing practice, qigong, doesn't matter. When you have a practice, it's something that you can bring yourself to and observe and notice the differences. It ends up being like the thread through the pearls, the constant line in our awareness. So I recommend having a practice of some kind. Good. And then lower your leg down. You're going to place both your feet in front of you. And so I'll move the camera again so you can see. So come into a comfortable position on your back. And just know as we slow it down, your body will get cooler. And you may want to put socks on or another layer or have a blankie nearby. You're going to come onto your back. You're going to have your feet hip width apart. Good. Your hands are reaching towards your heels of your feet. Good. You're going to press through the soles of your feet and lift your hips up, puffing your chest, lifting your hip bones, and pressing your knees away from you. So pressing the floor with your hands. Lift your hips, lift your chest, and your chin gets tucked as a result of that, but your head's still on the floor. Squeezing your buttocks, press your hip bones even higher, and then gently, one vertebrae at a time, roll down. Holding your tailbone up until the very last minute, and as you release onto your sacrum, you can roll down onto your tailbone. Good. We're going to do that again. Curl your tailbone up first, then lifting onto the sacrum, which is that triangular bone at the base of your spine. Then lifting up in your lower lumbar, lower back, mid back. Get as high up in your thoracic vertebrae in your rib cage. Lift your right hip bone. Lift your left hip bone. Lift your tailbone. And then begin to roll down through your spine, one vertebrae at a time. Good. This time we're going to change it up. Curl your tailbone up off the mat, and your sacrum, your lower back. And as you do, start lifting your arms, both arms straight. Lift them up as you move your spine, reaching them up overhead. And as you lower down, lower your arms. Resting on the mat. Beautiful. Bring your knees to your chest. Let your knees separate in any way that feels comfortable and just rock side to side. You're going to hold on to your right knee, extend your left leg long, and wrap your right knee across your body and reach your right arm out to the right side. So you're in a long spinal twist. Your right palm is up. Your gaze is to the right side. And take a deep breath. Maybe your knee reaches the floor. Maybe it just comes part way. It's fine. Just notice. One thing I can say is if you stay with it, you'll notice more flexibility and more ease. Take a deep breath here, knowing that any twist is a beautiful massage for all your internal organs, helping to detoxify them. And then gently bring your right knee back up. Give it a nice hug and extend your right leg long. And draw your left knee in. Give it a squeeze, give it a hug. And then gently draw your left knee across your body to the right side as you open your left hand to the left side, looking at your left open palm. Take a deep breath here. And notice without judgment if this side is more flexible or less flexible than the other side. And just notice these things change day to day. And deepen your breath even more, getting a deeper massage and detoxification of your muscles. Letting your body feel supported by the earth. And gently bring your left knee back. And draw your right knee back in, holding both knees. Lift the soles of both feet up to the sky. Reach your hands between your legs and hold the outside of your ankles or your feet. And draw your knees towards the floor. And I like to rock here. That's not traditional, but I like to rock. This is called Happy Baby. So imagine you're a baby and you just had the joy of discovery of your feet, and you have endless fun available to you now. Just rock side to side. This releases your lower back, calms your nervous system, and helps you prepare for our favorite pose in yoga. Releasing your feet, extend one leg long, and then the other. Opening your palms to the sky, arms are away from your body. If this isn't comfortable, you can put a little pillow under your knees or roll up a blanket. If you're a little chilly, get a little blanket on you or grab a layer. So this pose is called Shavasana or corpse pose, and it's a relaxation pose. And as many yoga traditions as there are, this is like the one pose that seems to be in common with every single one. It's considered that valuable. So as you're laying in your Shavasana, begin scanning your body with your breath. Sending your breath to any part of your body that needs just deep healing, deeper ease, more well-being, greater peace. Allow your body to be really heavy and allow it to be supported by the earth. Give yourself this time. Let it be exactly what you need it to be. We'll spend a few minutes of clock time, but it's all the time in the world. If thoughts arise, simply bring your awareness back to your breath. maintaining a deep state of relaxation. You can stay where you are, or I invite you to place your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly. Still laying on the ground, creating a sweet moment of self-connection. Presencing with your feelings, presencing with your heart, presencing with your spirit. Honor your wholeness. And when you're ready, I invite you to gently roll over onto your right side, taking a sweet pause for yourself, creating a gentle transition. Reflecting on what you had in this time. And press yourself up into any comfortable seated position. We'll seal our practice with one full and complete Om. Om is the sound of consciousness itself. It has 4 elements to the sound: the Ah, the U, the and the silence that follows. And I really invite you to open into the silence that follows. You're going to take a deep and full breath, exhaling all of your air. Inhaling, filling your lungs full. Bowing the intelligence of your mind to the wisdom of your heart, honoring the sacred temple of your body and the brilliant light of your spirit. As we close our practice, we say a traditional honoring of this light that dwells within all. For as you are in that light in you, and I am honoring that light within me, we are one. And so we close our practice with the sacred honoring. Namaste. Thank you. So it's not unusual to feel a little altered after yoga. And just invite you to feel the sense of greater ease, greater peace, greater connectedness. Yoga is one of those practices that nourishes us on all levels: our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Quiana. Hopefully, I think movement is one of those things, especially for those of us up in the Midwest. We're getting to a period where it's a little harder to move maybe in the same way, or we're not as active as we were. And I think that's such a big part of keeping ourselves healthy and keeping everything moving in ourselves. I want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type those in and we'll address them. We have a few minutes left, so I just want to make sure, if there's anything that came up for any of you, you're welcome to share that. Or if you have any questions. One that I have is just, sometimes people feel like an hour of yoga is a lot. What's a good way, if people said, I have 20 minutes to do something, what might you recommend they think about?
Yeah, to be honest, I just did a little Google search this morning, and you can do a Google thing, and there are plenty of yoga programs actually now. I think daily yoga or something. There you can do a Google search. I can suggest something. We can put that in the links for the resources. but there are different things where you can set the length of the program, the level of fitness, the level, there are lots of beautiful options. There's a plethora of options now. So I would say, do what, like I said, literally 5 minutes is better than none. And you'll find that it becomes easier and easier to spend more time. And it becomes it's like coming to an oasis. When I start, even though I've been doing it forever, I can be as resistant to doing my yoga practice as anyone. But once I get started, it becomes very familiar. And it's like, oh, good, this feels really good. So just start with whatever you've got. And literally 5 minutes is a good start. Definitely give yourself the relaxation at the end. You may need to set an alarm clock. Many of us are overexhausted and have no idea how tired we are until we go into our Shavasana. And I dare say we probably lost a few people, right now, just because people are tired. And so give yourself that beautiful deep replenishment. And when we have this replenishment, we are more resilient. We treat our spouses better. We handle our business people better, our children better. We have more responsiveness and capacity to respond to the stresses of life in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Yeah,
us help.
what some of the biggest benefits are, but you addressed them. I think just taking some time, whatever it is, yoga or something to help us do that. So this is a great question we got. Any modifications we should consider in cold weather versus warm weather?
Yeah, I mean, you can warm up your space a little bit more. You want to make sure you have adequate clothing. I'm in Northern California. It's cold every morning, no matter what day of the year is. So even though I have a little sleeveless thing going on, I start with layers because I want to make sure my body is warm enough. When I teach, there's a studio I teach where we have wood heat, and before the wood heat kicks in, I make sure we have extra warm-ups. So, your muscles will be tighter. And so just every circumstance you have to adjust for the temperature, the climate, your condition, the time of day, how warmed up you are or not, what kind of shape you're in or not, and so all these are variables. And I do recommend spending more time, having more clothing on, heating the room if you can. Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
thanks.
I used to live in Minnesota. I know it's cold.
And one thing I'll add to that from an Ayurvedic perspective is in the summer, we think there's more heat. So doing more twists and sort of heart openers, things to help wring out that middle section that can get congested is great. And in the winter time, moving more, right? Getting a little more built up to build up our inner fire. And I know you know these things, but so as you think about going into winter for a yoga practice, allowing yourself to move a little bit more and hold things longer to build that internal heat can be really good.
The fire. The other thing is there's a breath called breath of fire, Kapalabhati breathing, which is shining skull breath, and it's the breath of fire. So it's, and you can start with that, and that'll create more rigor and the fire, the heat within you, and that can help. And there's also cooling breaths too, which we've been using a lot lately here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. Any other questions that anybody has? I want to make sure we get to those. If people want to learn more about your work, what's a great way they can get in touch with you?
You can call me. I love having conversations with people. My number is 707-318-8824. I have a website that has my name, and you'll have my connections in the resource section. And I invite people who would like to just open to a discovery conversation about what's next for you. I work with people physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. So when people are facing kind of the next step in their life, I help make that easier for them, because I really feel like we all need help to make this work in a good way. Just like you all have beautiful support for your financial well-being, the rest of us need some care and tending as well. So with humility, we're all at different levels with any different aspect of ourselves. And I'm here to support people making their journey and their next steps as easeful and graceful as possible.
Great,
So,
thank you.
Carrie's going to be sharing my link in the resources.
Yeah, I shared that in there. Any last final tip you'd recommend on the movement front right now? I know one last thing is just when people are feeling particularly stressed or anxious, is there one asana or thing that movement that you would recommend they incorporate?
Yeah, our breath is the most powerful way to reset our nervous system. So, there's one thing that I didn't do, but I've trained in yoga for trauma. So, one of the things is you can just shake, and just use your breath and use, and this may not look like yoga or even appear very pretty, but it allows you to kind of just recalibrate your nervous system, discharge. You'll see animals like a rabbit, for example, when it's stressed, will just do this ridiculous little discombobulated shaking off, but it'll help reset your nervous system. And then I would come back to how we started. If your brain is busy, for many of us, there's a lot of fears that are going on, not knowing what's next, is you can do a forward fold. So then you would do this and just literally hang out upside down for a while and let the blood go to your brain, and it will calm your mind. And one of my yoga teachers, all of us were so chattery at the beginning of class, and she couldn't get us to be quiet. She'd have us do a forward fold for minutes until we all calmed down. And it was pretty remarkable. I learned that one is just, if you've got a busy mind, a gentle forward fold, and then gently roll back up. And this helps you reset. Really take a moment to just reset.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Quiana. That was great. And I hope that you all were able to take away a few new things, or really just have some time, for this last hour connecting with yourself a little bit deeper. Next week, we're going to be going over specific tips for anxiety and stress. So that's one you definitely don't want to miss. I think we all need more of that right now than ever. And thank you to everyone who joined today for taking the time to really commit to yourself, to nourish yourself. And we hope to see you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.